Hey guys, this is the Algebra 2 Chapter 3 answer video, and just remember you can always pause it and do the work before I show you how to do it. And then also the big thing with Chapter 3 is if in doubt, graph it out, because most of these answers can be just seen on the graph. But I did teach you how to do them by hand, so that's how I'm going to show you here as well. So the first thing we want to do on this one is take out the negative one. And after you take it out, you can see you need to think of what multiplies to make 32. If you look at the answer choices, you can tell already it's going to be an 8 and a 4. And now we just need to decide what kind, because we need to make a negative 12. So they're both going to be minus signs here. Now, this is the factor. X minus 8 is the factor, which means the solution is x equals 8. So here's x equals 8, here's x equals 4, and our answer is answer A. Now, let's go ahead and look and see what that looks like in the calculator. So I switched to the camera here. Let's hope it works. Nope, it's not going to work today. But if you did put it in the calculator, what you would see is something like this, where this was 4 and that was 8. Alright, so that was factoring. Now on this one, I don't want to factor it because there's already a squared. And so what I can do is just immediately square root both sides. And if I immediately square root both sides, I would get x minus 3 equals plus or minus 7i. Now if you look at these answers, they're all real, and then this answer says no real. Well, hey, guess what? We just got an I, so we know that the answer is no real solution. There is a solution we could find. It would be 3 plus or minus 7i, and that would be the answer if they wanted it. But they just want us to say, nope, no real. Okay, moving on over here. What we want to do is graph it. So you could subtract this 3 over here, and that would turn that negative 4 into a negative 7, and just plug that into your y equals, and see if it gives you a guess. But because there's a square root symbol, it's probably more likely that we're just going to be able to solve this the direct method. So instead, what I want to do is add the 4 to the other side. So I get 3 times the quantity of x minus 7 squared equals 7. And I'm going to divide by 3 to get the 3 canceled. And so I get x minus 7 here squared equals 7/3. Now I can maybe figure it out just by looking here. So let's take a peek. This is a minus 7, and when I square root both sides, I'm going to get x minus 7 equals plus or minus the square root of 7/3. Okay, so I'm looking at these answers to see if any of those answers look close, and actually I do see one I can eliminate, because we're going to add this to the other side, and so it's going to be x equals 7 plus or minus the square root of 7/3. And so I know this one's wrong. And the square root of 7/3 is disgusting, so I know that this pretty answer is wrong. So it must be one of these yucky looking answers. And at this point, I know what it is. You might even know what it is. But what we're going to do is multiply by rad 3 over rad 3 to rationalize the denominator. And so we're going to have 7 plus or minus the square root of 21 over 9. And so hopefully you can see it's definitely not this one because it's over something, because the square root of 9 is 3, and so it's that top answer choice there. Okay. Over here we're solving some more. A couple things we could do. We could put them in the y equals and have this one be y1 and have this one be the y sub 2 and see where they cross. So that's one way of solving this. We could subtract it all over to the other side and see if it factors, or when we subtract it all to the other side, we can see just what the graph looks like. So let's go ahead and start by subtracting everything over and adding it over. So it's 2y squared plus 31y minus 11y plus 42. Okay, so I moved this side over to that side with addition and subtraction. And so this is 2y squared minus 20y plus 42. Now I'm going to take a 2 out of it, but I already think I can see the answer. I'm pretty sure it's either going to be -7 and -3 or 3 and 7, but let's go with it. Let's try. So here's 2. So it's y squared minus 10y plus 21. So it's definitely a 7 and a 3. I agree with them. And that's the nice thing about multiple choices, is we're actually doing a lot less work because they already gave us our idea. And then I need to make -10, but also multiply to a positive 21, so they're both going to be negative. And if both of my factors are negative, that means my answers are positive. So that's what we have. And if you had graphed this on the graphing calculator, you'd have seen something like this, and that would have been your 3, and that would have been your 7. Okay, over here, there's just one a squared, so what I want to do is add the 4 to the other side. And now square root. And when you square root, you have to have plus or minus. So whatever you do, do not choose that one. It is this choice here with both of them. Okay, on number 6, I only have one x squared, so I want to do that direct square rooting method again. Start by subtracting the 34 to the other side. So this is -45. Now, be smarter than the problem here. It's a negative, so we're going to have an I. So it's not this answer choice and not that answer choice, because we need an I. And then you want to look at this and see how this one has plus or minus, this one doesn't. So it's for sure that answer. But just in case you're wondering why, it's because this would be a 9 and a 5. And so ordinarily it would be 3 rad 5. But because there was a negative, you need that I there. And then of course it's plus or minus because we square rooted. So that's why that choice works. Okay, over here, what they want you to recognize is that this part right here is a perfect square trinomial. And so what you could do is immediately factor it like that. Now, if you immediately factor it like that, why did I put an x squared up there? Who knows? If you factor it like that, there we go. You can square root both sides and you're like basically done already. The second you square root both sides, you are going to see this. And when you see this, you're going to be smarter than the math problem and know that that is the answer, because we add the 9 to the other side and we're done. Okay, now on this one, notice that the x is multiplying some quantity. And so really we are just out of luck. And we could graph it. So if we added 20 to the other side, we could pop it in our calculator. And I'm sorry I can't show you because the camera's still not working. But you could just put it straight in your calculator just like that with a plus 20 on it and see. But it wouldn't do you any good, would it? Nope, not a lick of good. Because if you look at this, it has i's in it. Look at those answers. There's i's. And so you know this is imaginary, which means it's going to have had a negative under the radical for quadratic formula. So that's what we're going to bust out here. We've got x squared minus 4x plus 20, remember, because we would have subtracted it, added it to the other side. And now we're going to sing the song. So x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4, a is a 1, c all over 2a. Okay, so let's see where to begin here. It's so messy I can't even tell. It's 4 plus or minus the square root of, that is for sure 16, and then that is, what is that? Negative 4 times 1 times 20. Negative 80. All right. And then over 2. Sorry, I'm a bit distracted. Oh, there's our music. Okay, so I get a negative, 64 in there, which is going to be 4 plus or minus 8i over 2. So for sure none of this 256 junk. And then right here, when you share the love, you can see it's going to be positive, so that answer's wrong. And that's what we've got. Sweet. All right, let's try again. So you can add. I'm just going to pause. I'll come back when the music's done playing. Okay, so I'm back. Here we go. I'm adding the 2x to the other side because I prefer my a value to be positive. I've just always been that way. You wouldn't have to. You'd get the same answer if instead you added the 9x and you subtracted the 8. But like I said, I've just always been that way, keeping that x squared the positive. Okay, so now what we're going to go ahead and do is do the opposite of b. Let's see, just quadratic formula. Okay, I'm just quietly working it out here. You guys should be working it out too. Okay, sorry about that. So now I have a positive 9 in the front. So right there, positive 9 in the front means you're wrong and you're wrong. Okay. So what it's going to come down to is we're either going to have an I in this answer or we're not going to have an I in this answer. See that? Pretty much. You don't even have to do the problem. Guys, just be smarter than the math problem. These multiple choice tests make it so easy to be successful as long as you kind of know what you're doing. You don't have to be the master. Because 81 is bigger than 61, which means this is going to be positive, which means there's no I. And 81 minus 64 is 17, so we're good. Okay, down here it says solve the system. We can do this by hand if you want. If you do not want to do this by hand, you do not have to, because what you can do is plug it straight up in the calculator. So see, y would equal 4 minus 2x, and then y would equal negative 3x squared plus x plus 94. And when you graph it, whatever it looks like, I don't know, they're going to be crossing somewhere. And by the looks of it, it's probably going to be at negative 514. So I'm going to press pause and see if I can get it into decimals for you. You guys should press pause and get it into your calculator and see where they cross, and I'll be right back and we'll see the answer. Okay, so if you can believe it or not only is my computer camera not working, but decimals isn't working. So I graphed it on the calculator anyway, so that I can show you what it looks like. On my calculator, it looks like this. You can't see the top of the parabola at all. It's not there. And then it looks like this. So on my calculator screen, there's only one answer, which is here at, I don't know, 6 something. 6 negative 8 probably. I haven't checked it yet. But for sure, you can't see this one up here. You can tell they're going to touch. You can tell for sure, but it's not there. So I had to zoom out, and when I zoomed out, sure enough, it crossed here at negative 514. So that one's just a little tricky because when you do it in your standard 10 by 10 window on the calculator, you only see one answer. And so you think, hey, wait a second, there's only one answer. But the nice thing is the answer choices that they gave us did not uh, have only one answer of 6 negative 8. This answer choice is a single, the negative 514, but we don't even see that one when we use our calculators. That's kind of nice. Okay, over here again, I'm just going to put it straight into my calculator to do this one. And so let me show you. This one's already ready to go, just right in there in the y sub 1. Over here, I'm going to add this y to the other side. And at the same time, I am going to add the 17 to the other side because I am. That's what I'm doing. So I'm going to go ahead and press pause while I see it in my calculator, even though I know I can't show you. You guys should press pause and look at it in your calculator on your decimals as well. Okay, so I've graphed it. There's a real problem on this one, isn't there? When you graph it, this is what you see. You see the littlest tidbit of a nubbin here. And then you see some function that's obviously like going up, and then you don't see it anymore, and then it's obviously coming down. So somewhere here, these two functions, I was trying to do dashed lines, but it doesn't work on the computer. Those two are crossing here and here. And I have to find it by either zooming out or pressing the window button and changing my Y maximums. So they're in just that standard 10 by 10 window. And what I'm going to do is look at them with a Y max of 20. And when I choose that Y max of 20, I can see that the graph is crossing at the negative 2 on the X and the 2 on the Y. It's this answer choice right here. Okie dokie. Here we go again. Find the zeros. By all means, if in doubt, graph it out. Plug it in your calculator. You're going to see what it looks like. But you might be smarter than the math problem and know that this is true. And so since this is true, we just get x equals 9. Just like that. Okay, now here's when we started playing with imaginary numbers. So what you need to remember is that I squared is negative 1, just in case we happen to have one. But in this case, that plus sign just distributes, so it's like nothing. So it's like 11 plus 3 minus 18i, whoops, that's an I, minus 15i. Okay, so these guys are going to get together and make a negative 33, and these guys are going to get together and make negative or positive 14, so it's for sure A. Great. Aha, okay. So what we have is two binomials, and they need to be multiplied, so that's foiling. So right here I have a negative 6 with a negative 2, so it's positive 12. And then I have a negative 6 with a negative 8i, so it is a positive 48i. Now I have a positive 9i with a negative 2, so that's negative 18i. And then that I squared business is going to happen here. So a positive 9i with a negative 8i is a negative 72i squared. Okay, combine like terms. So right here you've got like terms. You're making 30. So you're making 30. So you know these guys are wrong. And then what do we have here? I squared is negative 1. So this is like saying negative 72 times negative 1, which is positive 72. So I have 72 plus 12, which is 84. Ta-da! There we go. Yay for word problems. A boy throws a ball into the air. This is the equation. It models the path of the ball. So that's an upside down one. It's probably just going to look something like this. I don't know. We'll see. And that was just a guess of mine, guys. I totally don't know what it looks like, but that's my guess. It says, how long is the ball in the air? Okay, well, it's not in the air here. It's in his hand. And it's not in the air here. It's on the ground. So what they're asking us to do is tell them this distance here. And so the only way to get that distance there is to graph it and figure out what that point is, or to solve it using quadratic formula to figure out what that point is. Now I know that I'm not able to show you on my calculator screen, and I'm really sorry about that, but I'm graphing it, and I can see that it kind of starts like right here. It goes up pretty sharply, and it comes down right before 2. This is 2. So if it starts at 0 and comes down right before 2, this is the best answer choice. And that's that. Okay, now we had our graphing inequalities. Notice these are all the same graph. You don't even need to plug this in the calculator because they're all the same. What you do need to do is figure out where the shading is and what the dashed and solid lines would be. So let's take a look. This guy right here, he's the negative one. It means he goes down, and he should be solid. Okay, so going down should be solid. So wrong. Going down should be solid. So that's good. This one's good. This one is going down should be solid. So wrong. All right, let's go back. This, oh, and you might need to know this. How'd I know it goes down? Because it was a -3. But hopefully you remember that. This one goes up. How do I know? Because of +2. Okay, so going up is dashed. So yeah, that is dashed. Yeah, that's dashed. Okay, so we just need to figure out the shading on this guy. The one that's going up is the one we care about the shading for. Because here, see the shading's on the inside. Here, see the shading for the one going up is on the outside. So we care about the one going up. And I've kind of written all over it, so let me grab the eraser. The one going up is that bottom one. Here we go. We are going to do a test point. You always want to choose 0, 0 if you can. And you know you can because there's no line going through it. So this graph definitely does not go through 0, 0. That's the lowest it goes. So I'm going to plug a 0 in for y and a 0 in for x. So is 0 less than 2? Is 0 less than 2? True. That's true. And what I taught you is you always shade where it's true. So if you're standing on 0, 0 and 0, 0 is true, then you shade here. Well, look at this graph. It is shaded there. It's the answer. Look down here. Is 0, 0 shaded? Why, no, it's not. So that is not the answer. All right, solving by hand. This is great. All you have to do is know what the zeros are and look at it. So just from this problem, the 4 and the 8 and the 4 and the 8, and this is a -8 and a -4 and a -8 and a -4, what you know is that it's for sure 4 and 8. So you can graph it if you want to graph it. So you can graph it if you want. If you graph it, you're going to see some business that looks like this. So you know you want the negative answers. If you did not graph it, you did not graph it because you factored it, because factoring is your friend, then what you would have done is gotten plus plus and known, hey, if the factors are positive, the answers, the solutions are the opposite, so they're negative. Okay, so we've narrowed it. Now we just have to be smarter than the problem here. It says they want us greater than 0. Here's 0. Greater than 0 is going up. So going up is this business and this business. It's two separate things. It's not a sandwich. It is not a sandwich. It's where the x's are less than -8 and greater than -4. Not a sandwich. check that out. We're done. Okay, I hope you guys learned something, and I just hope you learned something, and you're going to do really well on this test. Have a great day.